looky. Let's see if Gas Station Simulator can cream my cookie. Let me put this out there, I'm not a fan of simulation games at all. Typically they're cheaply made and barely passable as games. But when I saw this, I don't know, I had a feeling that it was going to be different from the status quo. From looking at the preview and reading the description, I could tell that this wasn't taking itself too seriously, even though it calls itself a simulation. In my books, this is a plus because I don't think there are many other game genres that are more boring than simulation games. I don't understand why people play these games. The whole point of video games is to get away from the mundane tasks we have to do in jobs. What would possess someone to go from a job like that to play a game that simulates something similar but on a lower level? I get that I can't really judge now because I bought this, but I do wonder if these games have some weird power over people that gets them to buy simulation games. Or are people so used to mediocrity that these games somehow come out as being viable as entertainment? I don't know, putting conspiracy aside, when you start the game, you roll up to an abandoned gas station and trade your car for it. From there, you slowly build up the facilities, adding other products and services to the station. The first giveaway that this is not a run-of-the-mill sort of simulation was seeing Elvis's ghost flying around, and then Santa makes a pass-by overhead for reasons. This game does have a thing with Christmas, Halloween and Valentine's Day decorations. Eventually the station looks like a complete mess. Everything is garishly squashed on top of one another, while being alongside more fitting decorations. You also have the ability to paint your store from a wide selection of white only, but there's no benefit for doing so. I'd advise that you don't waste your time. Luckily, soon after reopening the station, a local tearaway artist is attracted to the blank canvas next door. He decides to leave his desert shack to give a helping hand decorating. When he comes around, he sprays some original works on our building for free. People, he lives in a shack and asks for nothing for a day's work. Now that is a real artist. Some of his work I appreciate, while others I felt lacked the creative vision I had for my station. I let him know the ones I wasn't fond of by painting over them. Later he would come back and try something else. Why is this kid living in a shack by himself next to a previously abandoned gas station? That's the real story here. I mean, this kid doesn't even have a bed. On painting the inside of my store, I came across one of the many shoddy corners this game has. I found out that painting the inside also paints the outside, but this doesn't work the other way around. I was really annoyed to find this out because the kid sprayed two really cool alien heads next to one another outside. I wanted to keep them, but because I painted the inside, I lost them. Now the chances of him doing this again were slim. As predicted, he decided to go in a new direction. Painting the roof is very hit and miss of what it actually paints, and eventually the paint peels off anyway, giving a good reason to bum the whole idea off, as your time is much better spent elsewhere, unless you really enjoy the minigame. The station looking good has no effect on the customer's decisions to buy things. An example of this is the bins. People complain when the bins are full, but they don't care if you leave full black bin bags all over the place. Another example is when the occasional sandstorm comes past. After it leaves, there are random sand piles here and there. These can be moved, but again, there's no negative effect for leaving them there, so why bother? I think the intention was that these piles would prevent customers from getting access to the station, but this game is so half-baked that it should have been sent back with a slap and a scolding. The core gameplay is serving customers by completing tasks, like filling cars, repairing them, cleaning them, and selling products in the store. This is done by completing simple mini-games, though I never figured out how to do the ice creams. As you progress on top of serving customers, you will design the layout of your store with the shelving placement and employing people. Day to day, you'll designate their roles as well as keeping an eye on stock levels, ordering in when things are needed. Annoyingly, you are the only one who can take deliveries and put products in the store. You're also the only one who is qualified for the taxing task of turning the fuel inlet wheel. The ideas and ambitions are there, but the ability clearly isn't. In this world, everything you buy sells and makes a profit, regardless of the price you buy it at. Product prices fluctuate, but your selling price never changes. What do you sell items for? Who knows? As the manager, these details don't concern us apparently. In general, I found the best practice was to buy up things when they're cheap. People might complain, but where else are they going to go? It's like being at a festival. If you want to get drunk, it's $7.20 a pint, or be sober. These people are geographically snookered into buying whatever I want to sell them. As you upgrade your warehouse, you can hold more stock, so you can have a backlog of everything. This means that you can simply top up on stock when it's cheap, never running out. But it's not really a thing that you have to plan if you can't be asked. You can just buy stuff and put it out without wasting your time thinking about it. The game has wacky physics due to the lack of programming skills with the cars, but this gets boring pretty quickly and soon you will be back to the task of earning money and upping the reputation of the store. It wasn't long before I felt that I couldn't be asked to do the work and was happy to discover that I could hire people to do the work for me. That's great, but then I realised leaving the work to the lackeys takes a shocking amount of time to level up the station, even when they're at max level. So I still had to do the lion's share of the work, and this game is a grind, way longer than it has any right to be. My strategy was to leave them filling cars and manning the register while I did the car repairs. The main reason behind this was because I had to pay them the higher rate to fix cars, and most of the time they had nothing to do. The other reason for keeping them away from the garage was that the AI freaked out and froze people in there. The best example I have was this guy who wouldn't leave but I was still paying him. He didn't repair the car, so I did it hoping it would trigger him to carry on. Nope, still stuck. Then I sent him home, but he stayed. I shut the garage, but he stayed. I thought about firing him, but this lad was max level at everything and barely slept. I wasn't going to lose him anytime soon. So I shut down the game and reloaded it. Thankfully he was free, but he had racked up a nice $300 for doing nothing. From that day on he was on cleaning duty. Very little of this game has been correctly programmed. On the left there are 2 meters. The top one is for the store and the one below is for the toilets. These meters never go down, so the only use for the broom is to push cars around. Nothing matters, no one cares if the paint is peeling, dicks are sprayed everywhere, bin bags are blocking the door. It's clear the intention was there for these things to have an effect on the reputation of the station, but they just couldn't make it work and decided to release it anyway. Talking about not caring, you can lock people's cars while they're standing there and they don't care. Even if the alarm goes off, they just get in the car and leave. You can do this right next to a cop, or even to the cop's car right in front of him. Last thing, because I can honestly go on. You can do a couple of checkpoint races in an RC car. I found this impossible. The best I could do was a second or so over the time for the achievement. Annoyed, I looked it up. Turns out the way to do it is to back up before going through the first checkpoint to get a rolling start. That's the level we're working with. I think that sums up the game's flaws quite nicely. That all being said, I quite enjoyed playing it. For me, it was the kind of thing I needed after completing Doom 3. No killing or violence, just a chill time doing mediocre tasks without any pressure. I threw it on when I wanted to play something but didn't really fancy playing anything too involved. It's good for that, but let's be fair, it's pushing its luck asking for more than a $5.